Armand here to talk about the May 2014 new moon in Gemini, which is happening on May 28th. Now, before we go any further, go to integralastrology.net. When you're done with this video, go to integralastrology.net and hunt around for articles, the Astro blog, monthly forecasts, all sorts of cool stuff. Now, the Gemini new moon. Gemini new moon is about our everyday stuff. It is about getting set and deciding what we want and what we need with our everyday stuff. Now, that doesn't sound too exciting, does it? It's not the grand things, you know, the big job and career change that we envision for the future. It's not the new love. It's not the old love. It's not, you know, getting a promotion or getting fired or any of those things that get our attention so much. And it's about the everyday stuff. It sounds a little bit dull and boring, but it's not. You know, the truth of the matter is, as much as we might focus on holidays and vacations and these big life transitions and changes like graduations and weddings and things like that, really we spend most of our life in the everyday thing. You know, there's just as many Tuesday afternoons and Thursday mornings as there are Saturday nights. There might even be a few more. And so it's the everyday stuff. How do you spend your day? How do you spend your week? The week is something that I think really correlates well with Gemini because it's kind of a little bit astronomical, astrological. We have one day each week named for the 7 visible planets. We have, a week is roughly a quarter of a lunar cycle. So it's got some little astronomical terrestrial correspondence, but really it's also very much a, you know, human-created thing. And I think that, you know, it resonates very well with Gemini. And you start thinking, well, you know, is there a flow to your week? Is there a heavy end of the week and a lighter end of the week? Is there part of the week that's sort of a drag and part of the week that sort of feels good? Think about things like that. Think about your workspace. Think about where you spend your time during the day when you're at work. Think about your neighborhood. Go take a walk around and see what's going on in your neighborhood, what's going on with your neighbors. See how you feel about that. And then start to think, well, how would I like my daily routine to be better? What would be a nicer daily routine for me? Or maybe you don't like routine at all. Maybe like me, you know, routine is just rut with a few other letters thrown in, and you like things to be mixed up all the time. Or maybe, you know, maybe you're out in the field going from place to place all the time and you'd really rather have some more stability. So this is the sort of thing we want to think about with the Gemini new moon. Where do we want to go in terms of our everyday reality? Where do we want to go in terms of taking our week and making it something that is, you know, comfortable for us? How do you feel about, you know, can you imagine a better neighborhood? Could you imagine a better flow to your day? Are you more of a night owl, but you find yourself getting up in the morning early, or vice versa? So these are the types of things to be thinking about with the Gemini new moon. Kind of imagine what you'd like your everyday reality to be like, and then start working towards it. Now that's good for any Gemini new moon. All right, that's really good for any time the moon is in Gemini. But this particular Gemini new moon has a very special aspect attached to it because the new moon is tightly square to Neptune in the sign of Pisces, his own home sign of Pisces. Now, Neptune in Pisces is nothing like the everyday. It's all about that stuff that is out there, all that sort of stuff that is alternative realities, all that stuff, mystical states, these things that are very much not of the everyday and the everyday mind, and that sort of level where we can kind of deal with things on a here, you know, go here, go there type of basis, and talk to this person and connect with that and maybe make a little deal over it. It's nothing like that. It's its own world. It's its own world. The things that don't really necessarily have any practical down to earth reality at all, and yet they are real in their own ways. They're experientially real at least, and they seem to very much be real in other ways sometimes too. But they have nothing to do with our everyday reality. And so this is a square aspect. It's a tense aspect because we have our everyday world, our everyday regular mind, regular life, sort of being invaded by these Neptunian other worlds, other realities. Well, invaded is a little bit strong. It sort of puts Neptune in the bad guy position. I don't think that that's fair. But what we're going to see, I think, over the course of this next lunation, and it is really going to be at least, and I say at least, but, you know, it is at least over the next month from, you know, until the Cancer new moon in June. we're going to see that our everyday reality, our everyday type of world, is going to be affected by Neptunian realities. And that can mean a lot of different things. For one thing, and this is a little bit on the cautionary side, misinformation and disinformation are real possibilities. And this is especially true because Neptune is going to station on June 9th and Mercury on June 7th. So, we have this Gemini everyday reality theme, and we have the Neptunian alternative reality theme, and it's going to be very strong throughout the next month. It's going to be sort of peaking not too far from the full moon, as a matter of fact. Okay, so misinformation, disinformation. We want to check our information very, very carefully. It is very possible, I think a good keyword for this upcoming month would be gossip. Because Neptune, sort of inflates and adds to, and, sometimes intentionally, sometimes even unintentionally, just makes things seem a little bit more than they are. And then Gemini is very sort of chatty, connecting type of sign. So a real possibility here would be gossip. And it's sort of its ugly cousin, rumor, which is sort of the equivalent of gossip, but on a collective level. Conspiracy theories and all kinds of things like that. With Neptune stationing, especially, I would keep my eye out for reports about mysterious new diseases or rare diseases that are somehow infiltrating and making their way into the public, and what we must do about them. And a little alarmist thing sometimes happens around Neptune stations, and I think particularly with this lunation. So you may see this kind of, we don't know what's going on. When you don't know what's going on, you get this gossip, there's rumors, you can't really sort things out. The internal response to that can sometimes be paranoia. So that would be sort of an extreme case. So we do need to be very careful about things. We may see a little too much, even in our everyday life, we may see a little too much there. We might find that we are pushing bigger visions into our everyday reality than we can really sustain. So that's one set of possibilities. Flipping it around, then we can find that the mystical, the things that we're looking for that are far out there, the meditative types of things, may be found in the everyday. It may be the case that we find that we see a lot of synchronicities developing in our lives, and we sort of get pointed in the direction of where we need to go by looking at the things that are sort of popping up and presenting themselves in a sort of extraordinary way. We may see a sort of numinous quality to everyday events. Things seem to be very important, and they seem to be guiding us in a certain direction. And that's kind of important because I think what the Neptunian energy, the Piscean energy, together with the Mercurial Gemini energy is really suggesting to us is that we need to follow intuition. If we try to logic things out, if we try to dope things out on a plus minus, does it make sense or does it not make sense type of way, we may go wrong. But if we follow intuition, if we use intuition as a guidance, if we follow our feelings as much as our head as a guide, I think that's what we're really sort of being given the opportunity to do. Try to sort it all out on a mental level, liable to get a little bit of confusion going on. Sort of follow on an intuitive level and see where events, everyday events, are taking you, where you're sort of being guided by the everyday. That could work out very, very well. And that's what I would keep in mind for the coming month, especially when we get around the 7th and the 9th, and I would feel comfortable adding a few days on either side of that, which should be very intense in terms of the rumor mills and the gossip stuff and all of that type of thing. But it's really a pretty good opportunity when we follow intuition, when we look for synchronicities, when we see the magic in everyday life. That's a good thing.